Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today I am finally covering Sea Power, a highly requested game to say the least. Why did it take so long for me to talk about Sea Power? Well, it took Microprose until Monday to send me a key for it, and since I don't like discussing games that I myself haven't played on the channel, we had to wait. But nevertheless, I have been playing the game in my free time since receiving that key on Monday, and oh boy fellas, the hype that's been building up around this game is looking like it might actually be justified, which is rare as hell in today's gaming industry. But what is Sea Power if you've never heard of it? Well, I would describe Sea Power as a tactical naval real-time strategy game. Kind of like Cold Waters, which makes sense since the lead designer of Cold Waters is behind Sea Power as well. I guess you could say that Sea Power is kind of like an extension of Cold Waters, since it focuses on all aspects of naval combat instead of just submarine warfare. Developed by Triassic Games and published by Microprose, Sea Power takes place during the Cold War, except that the war is no longer cold. The Warsaw Pact has invaded NATO, while at the same time Iran has launched a military campaign in the Middle East, and it's up to you to command NATO or Warsaw Pact forces and see your side to victory. So let's go ahead and dive on into Sea Power. So as a general overview for the game right now, Sea Power is launching in early access on Steam tomorrow. Due to that, there are some features that will not be available just yet, like the campaign and tutorial mission. However, a healthy amount of scenario missions and the mission editor will be launching with the early access version, along with mod support. The game features over 150 naval units, over 60 aircraft, and another 50 ground units for you to encounter and command. All of these are available for you to create your own missions within the editor as well. At the time of recording, there isn't any information available as far as price goes, but most of Microprose's released games go for far less than AAA prices. However, given the hype around Sea Power, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes for somewhere around $50-60 US. Let's move on into the actual gameplay. If you've played Cold Waters, the gameplay here should be fairly familiar to you, as a big part of the game is finding and identifying your targets and any other threats in the environment. For example, the goal of the background mission is for me to prevent the Kiev from breaking through into the Black Sea. I need to find, identify, and sink the Kiev, ideally without sinking half of the Greek fishing fleet in the process, or shooting down any civilian airliners.
I'm completely and mentally stable. Oh, hey, look, a civilian airliner.
The game does have several sensor systems modeled fairly complexly as well, such as radar being affected by the height of the terrain, so you can't see through islands like in World Warships. Most of the commands you'll be issuing to your ships are done via the tactical map. Once targets are identified, or even if they're not, you can select their signal on the map, choose a weapon system on board your ship or aircraft, and then right-click on the target signal to send the munition their way. Of course, different weapon systems have different ranges and parameters. That's all modeled here with minimum and maximum engagement ranges, arming times, and such. You can control everything from fleet formations down to individual aircraft and ships, having certain units running with full sensor sweeps going on, having some blast away with their weapons freely, while having others conserving their ammo and not running with their radar or their other sensors going. Everything from patrol boats to subs to aircraft carriers, battleships, battle cruisers is all here at your disposal. You can even customize the loadout that your aircraft carry, plus the models and effects look really good for a game of this scale. So how does this all come together? Well, for the most part, pretty dang well so far. The mission in the background was a particularly fun one for me. As I'm trying to run down the Kiev here, I'm also having to try and find and destroy these anti-ship missile sites that have been set up on these islands along the way, along with getting jump scared by Soviet aircraft as well. After finding the Kiev in an attempt to slow her down and deplete her defense systems, I had a flight of A7 spam her with their anti-ship missiles, which managed to cripple her until I could get the Wisconsin in range with their harpoons and finish the Kiev off. And I gotta say, it was really satisfying to pull this off. That's also just one aspect of the game. Again, there's patrol boats, carriers, submarines, all of this wrapped up in one single game. Now, there are some issues with the game that I discovered during my time with it for this video. Yes, it's in early access, but this is the version of the game that will be on sale starting tomorrow, so I'm going to talk about it. While they will be releasing a manual with the game, there is no in-game tutorial right now. While the game isn't difficult to pick up on, especially for fans of the genre, like if you play Dangerous Waters, Cold Waters, it can be overwhelming for new players. The fact that they are releasing a manual is a plus, but some type of rudimentary in-game tutorial would have been preferred. Again, a good part of this game is identifying targets, so having a section that at least understands how sensors work would be pretty preferable. But again, that's not present at the time of the launch version of this game, or at least the early access launch version of this game. Also, the ship navigation AI just seems to be a little dumb. This was on full display here in this particular mission because of the high number of islands that we were navigating through. I had several escorting ships just get left behind because, well, the Wisconsin would get through just fine, but these escorting ships, the AI would just sell themselves right into these islands and get stuck on the islands. They would beach on the islands like a bunch of whales, and they wouldn't even attempt to unstick themselves. They're just stuck going full ahead, flank speed ahead, beaching themselves on these islands. I had to go in and manually back them off of these islands, and then, well, at that point, by the time I usually realize, because I'm over here looking at what's going on with the Kiev and where my planes are, and trying to get the Wisconsin missile range, and these guys are just stuck on the islands. And the game takes place on a realistic timescale, right? So, like, I can't just wait around for these ships to catch back up to the formation because the Kiev's going to be in the Black Sea by then. So, unfortunately, that's that many less escorting ships. Escorting the Wisconsin, who's having to shoot down missiles and such that the Kiev and her anti-ship missile sites along the way are shooting at the fleet. So that kind of sucks for that mission. So yeah, it's just really weird that the AI can't, I guess, see the islands in front of them, and they don't try to navigate around it, or maybe it's because they're just so dead set on maintaining their formation with the Wisconsin they don't want to maneuver around the islands. But yeah, it's really weird, and that's just something I would think would be fixed by now, but I guess not. Again, it is an early access, but yeah, it's still an issue at the moment. Also, a weird thing that happens, at least to me, with when I was playing the game, is that once a mission is complete, the game just pauses itself. I couldn't see a mission complete screen or dialog box popping up, and I couldn't access the pause menu when this happened. So while the game was still running, it was just paused, because you can pause and fast forward time because of, again, the realistic time scale that this game operates on. I couldn't do anything anymore. So that was kind of weird, and again, I couldn't pull up the pause menu to back out of the scenario mission, so I had to use Task Manager to shut down the game. So I don't know if this is just something that I ran across, or if it's a more common issue, but it happened to me, so that's a little weird. Overall, though, I feel like this is a really solid game in the making. It gives you a really good idea of the scale of modern naval battles, and satisfying combat to boot, even in its early access stage. It was really interesting to see, especially coming from World of Warships, obviously, the limitations of naval artillery, because when you select a munition on your ship, there's a ring that's displayed around your ship showing the, maximum range. And the Iowa's guns, you always hear about battleship guns, how they can shoot, 25, 30 miles, no problem. It's like, oh yeah, that's pretty far. But then you select the missiles, and whoa, they got some range to them. So it gives you a nice appreciation of modern naval combat and how, over the horizon it is. So that's pretty cool in my mind. And, I mean, the game is in early access. So right now, you have over 200 units to play with between, naval, air, and ground units in early access. And while we don't know for sure what Microprose is going to charge for Sea Power, I'm willing to bet it's going to be at or below AAA pricing, which I think is more than fair for what's already available in-game. Again, you have quite a few scenario missions already made, ready to go in the game as is. You have the mission editor where you can make your own missions at this moment too. So just between those two modes, you have easily hundreds of hours of content here for you to play. And while, yeah, the ship AI, at least for the sailing portion of the AI, is pretty goofy, everything else seemed to work fairly well. Again, except for my game freezing at the end, at the completion of a mission. Don't know what's going on with that, but everything else, the missile systems, the gunnery systems, the AI that's dealing with other aspects about the ship seems to be working fairly well so far. So I mean, for what's probably going to be asked for this game, which again I think it's going to be somewhere around the $40-ish range, I think it's more than fair for what you have access to tomorrow whenever the game goes up live. And keep in mind that campaigns are coming along with more features in the future, and you can look at Cold Waters and see what goes on there with those campaigns. That's probably what we're going to see in terms of the campaign here in Sea Power. So, I mean, you can go check out some Cold Water gameplay, check out some Cold Water footage, or even download Cold Waters and see for yourself. That's probably what we're going to get here in terms of the campaign. So if you like this style of game, you like what you see in the background, I'd say, yeah, go for it. Again, it's probably going to be around the $50-ish range if I had to guess, but you could easily sink, again, hundreds, if not thousands of hours into the game right now. If I had to give this game a numerical score at the time being, it would be somewhere around like a 7.5, 8 out of 10, because of, of course, the campaign's not there, there's no tutorial missions there, the AI is a little goofy at the moment in some cases, so yeah, but that's of course with a big ol' asterisk, obviously, as this is an early access title, and if they get these issues ironed out, and once the full game's available, this is probably easily going to be, if they keep up the quality of work that we've seen here so far, probably like a 9 out of 10, if not 10 out of 10 for me, once it does come out in full release. So guys, that's my 2 cents on Sea Power. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Are you looking forward to picking up the game tomorrow, or are you going to let it kind of sit there until it gets out of the early access stage? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday, wonderful rest of your week. I hope to catch you guys in the next one.